The following program is a production of the Fairfax Network, Fairfax County Public Schools.
Welcome to Community Keynotes, Assistive Technology. This program was recorded during the Real Assistive Technology for Everyone, or RATE, conference at Carson Middle School in Herndon, Virginia. The keynote presenters are assistive technology student ambassadors who will share their own experiences. Let's meet our panel.
Good morning and welcome. I am honored to be here today to introduce our keynote speakers. The AT Ambassadors program was created by our colleague Molly Kropp in 2012. Unfortunately, she could not be here today, but I know she is very proud of each of our ambassadors. The Ambassadors program is intended to showcase leadership, self-advocacy skills, and technology skills. Our AT Ambassadors share their knowledge and ideas with teachers, students, and parents. They serve as role models for other students who use assistive technology and are valued resources for educators working with students with disabilities. So without further delay, I would like to introduce Attelia, Hope, and Andrew.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out and listening to us. My name, as you heard, is Attelia Lampman, and I am a senior at George Marshall High School. I have a condition known as cerebral palsy. It mostly affects my legs, but it also affects the way how fast I can type or write. So I use a technology called Dragon to dictate what I want to write. It's extremely helpful in English and writing other school essays. Also, when I was a junior, I got introduced to the Smart Pen, which helps me extremely in journalism because I have to write newspaper articles and it's great for interviews.
Hi, good morning. My name's Hope Baker. I attend Robinson Secondary School. I'm a freshman. And I also have cerebral palsy. And like Attelia said, it affects your muscles, hand strengths. And it really makes typing very difficult. I was introduced by Ms. Connolly Dragon software, which lets me naturally speak whenever I want to write a paper, so it makes my life a whole lot easier. And I love to do theater when I'm outside of school. I'm very passionate about theater, arts, and I love hanging out with friends, and so, yes.
Hi, my name is Andrew Thomas, and my disability is, there's no name for it, it's just I have a reading disability, writing, and yeah, so pretty much I use Dragon, SpeakQ, Smart Pen, iPad, and all of those help me in classes and all that.
In a moment, the students will be joined on stage by their parents to speak more about assistive technology and answer questions. First, here is a brief overview of the AT Ambassador Program and assistive technology services in Fairfax County Public Schools.
I'm still normal. I'm not an alien. If you think I am, I've already been tested. I'm not.
Working hard to form a supportive community, both of their own peers, as well as a community of acceptance throughout their schools. This is the goal of the FCPS Assistive Technology Student Ambassador Program. As part of the Department of Special Services, the Ambassador Program showcases the leadership, self-advocacy, and technology skills of students with disabilities. The ambassador's goal is to share their knowledge and ideas with teachers, students, parents, and others, and to serve as role models for other students who use assistive technology.
Pretty much what we do is we stand up for our disabilities and we advocate for ourselves. And not only do we advocate for ourselves, we get help with our technology. And when we get help with our technology, our jobs as ambassadors is to tell other kids that, hey, you can do it, and you can be this smart. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. I did it, you can do it. And that's pretty much what being an ambassador is all. It's being a leader, it's being a role model.
So Bookshare is where you get your books, and so tell me about that.
They like I get all my books on there and I go on the website and I search them and I download them. And if it's not a book that's not on there, I can email the owners and they add it onto Bookshare. Yeah. It takes a while.
We have a lot of students out in schools doing some amazing things with assistive technology, and they are really good at helping other students feel more comfortable. And so kind of the purpose of the whole program is to help students with disabilities feel more comfortable being themselves and with using tools that may look different from what other kids are doing, because there's a lot of apprehension, particularly with secondary students, about doing things that look or feel different. And so our ambassadors are out there trying to help the students feel better. They are also trying to raise awareness for people who don't have disabilities of what it's like to live with disabilities and to use things that are different and to need different things than other people.
As a 6th grader, last year, Andrew was the first junior AT ambassador in FCPS. Andrew uses several types of assistive technology to help him read and write, and is a very strong advocate for his friends with special needs. Last spring, Andrew shared his story and struggles with his entire 6th grade class. He not only shared information about the different ways he learns, he also introduced each of his friends and made sure the 6th grade students in the school knew their names and something about them. Andrew wants people to know, most of all, that people are just people, no matter what.
I did a presentation on kids with disabilities in front of the whole 6th grade. I explained my disability, I explained their disability, I introduced them to everyone and everything.
Zach, he likes cars, he likes Italian sports cars, he likes any kind of cars.
After I did that, all the kids who I talked about, they all started to have more friends in 6th grade and in other grades, because then it got passed on and everything. So now a lot of the same kids have more friends and they have more people who they can other talk to besides their teachers and their classmates and everything.
AT ambassadors also serve as resources for educators working with students with disabilities. Nichelle is currently a senior and was the inspiration for the ambassador program. She is an avid user of assistive technology and a wonderful spokesperson and resource for her teachers and peers. She has spoken to parent groups and presented at a variety of meetings and conferences. In 2011, she was one of the keynote speakers at the Real Assistive Technology for Everyone conference.
I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And Miss Kropp, who provides all my technology, she was like, you can do this, you know, you gotta tell other kids and you gotta get to these parents and tell them that, hey, your kid can be like this, there's nothing wrong with them. I prepared a month for it. We came up with a PowerPoint and I did amazing. I actually had like a couple of parents actually crying, saying thank you like so much for like telling your story and everything. So it was really scary and hard, but once I got through it, I felt like it was the right thing to do, and like, hey, I can do it again.
As an assistive technology resource teacher, Molly Kropp provides training and one-on-one school-based support to students with disabilities.
Typically, students who require assistive technology are students who are struggling in their classrooms and cannot access things with the tools and strategies that are available in their classrooms. But how and exactly what is determined on an individual basis by what the student might need to be able to do. So assistive technology is a huge range of things, and it could be something as simple as providing a student with a digital spelling aid to help them with writing, or it could be something as complex as switch access. It could be any number of things that helps the student be able to do whatever they need to do in the classroom.
Belonging to the AT ambassadors gives students with disabilities a supportive community of their peers that they may not have had before. In addition, by increasing awareness about disabilities in their schools, they help enrich their entire school community by helping students to be more accepting, caring, and committed to every student.
The two that I know and have worked with, I think it's made them a lot more confident and a lot more understanding of their own disability and accepting of the tools that they need to use, because both of them actually went through the same struggles of not wanting to be different and not wanting anybody to know about what they were doing or wanting to answer questions about their technology. And I think being able to share that more openly and to advocate for other kids instead of just themselves has really made them more comfortable and a lot more confident. One of the things one of our ambassadors said this year was, it's really hard to be in a general ed classroom as a person with disabilities because no one in the room gets it. Nobody gets what this is like. And so I said, what are you going to do about it? And so that's one of the goals, is what are we going to do about that? So hopefully they can get out there and help people get it.
To change how they be treated and everything, because I want them to be treated the same way as everyone else here.
And now, to share more about their experiences, here are our student ambassadors and their parents.
Now we're going to open it up for the ambassadors. Is there anything you guys would like to add? And I'm just going to hand you the mic and you guys can add to it.
I think that it was already said in the video, but I did have a lot of struggles with just accepting the fact that I needed technology and I should use it because, you know, I didn't want to be different.
Like Attelia said, I think it was really summed up in the video. And I just think it's really important for everyone to know that being different's really awesome. Don't say that you're different. Don't try to be like everyone else, because being different is what makes you you, and what makes you you is really special. So own up to that.
Are there any questions from the audience?
I wanted to start off with, just to the ambassadors, now that you have the technology and you've been using it, can you look back, especially because my son, he's 7 right now and he's autistic, so we're getting into that realm. But is there a point, like earlier, can you think, oh my gosh, I wish I had this at like 7 or 8, or I wish, you know, I had started it earlier? And can you like advise, you know, younger kids, hey, you know, it's okay to have this at this age, or, you know, anything like that?
There was definitely a time in my life where I wished that I had Dragon sooner, because I was afraid. I was afraid to. I didn't like being different, and people would ask me, "Why do you do this?" and "Why do you you know, do the things you do?" And it was kind of awkward for me to always be like, well, this is my disability. And so I think that having Dragon has made me stronger as a person and has really helped me have confidence in being like, you know, I'm proud of who I am.
I think for us, we didn't know what was available. So sorry. And the ATS program has really been a lifesaver.
Well, you're going to make us cry now.
I mean, it's a wonderful program, but I think as parents, we don't know what's available out there. And so to have, Andy was very lucky, he had Molly Crop. And she said, let's try this. Let's, you know, hey, there's this software, there's this program. And that's what was so helpful, was somebody willing to listen and say, let's give it a try.
I will say, no, I didn't know it was available. When Hope was born, and I remember distinctly the neurologist saying, hopefully, maybe their voice recognition would be an option for your daughter. However, you probably won't see that available in your lifetime. And this was the leading neurologist at Arkansas Children's Hospital. So this was the year 2000. Now, did I know I was going to be living in Fairfax, Virginia? No. Thank goodness. Then we met Ms. Connolly, and she suggested Dragon. So no, I didn't necessarily know to ask for it, but the key is if you get an IEP, and once you get the assistive technology on it, thank goodness here in Fairfax County, they're very, we have good, smart people that can help you. But you have to have that on there. And actually, it should be, IDEA is nationwide. By law, they have to all provide it, but we're very fortunate here in Fairfax County. People will come and help you.
Just to make sure that I answer your question, I don't really know what age people should start using technology. It's more or less when that person feels comfortable and when you kind of see a problem that would need a technology. I didn't really see a problem probably until the end of 6th grade, 7th grade, but I really wasn't willing to accept help or anything like that until 9th. So it just takes time, and you got to be okay with that.
I'd agree with that from my perspective as a mom. Attelia had Co-Writer and Neo offered in elementary school, and she kind of tried it but didn't like it at all and didn't want to use it. And at that time, technology still was, she's 18, so, at that time, technology was still new in the classroom, so it did separate a child. Now I think technology, Falls Church, George Mason High School just bought all of their students laptops. So, technology now is not a distinguisher. So I think introducing it as soon as needed is great. But when somebody, I think we were looking at some technology, voice-activated software in 9th grade, and I said to the IEP group, I said, you can give it to her, but she's not going to use it. And so, and they said, well, we're gonna give it to her. So, and I said, well, you'll check it. And so they did at the end of 9th grade, preparing for sophomore year. She goes through a week-long, I think it's a week-long course. One of the key things about that I thought was fascinating. Ms. Hickey said, I'm not teaching really how to use the technology. What I want to first do is teach them how to write, and then use the technology so that they can write. Because with voice-activated software, just having the knowledge of how to use the software is not enough, because then you get stream of consciousness just coming out. If you can, and I think it's been helpful for Attelia, is thinking, how do you really write? What do I really want to use this to accomplish? And so I thought the way that course was done was a great way to introduce that. So there's something about not just knowing how to use the technology, but you all can speak to it better than I, but knowing what you really want to accomplish with the technology, and the technology is just a method to get there. It's not, just because she has voice-activated software doesn't mean she's going to make A's in English, Which
I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't.
When I share what Attelia has access to with people outside of Fairfax County, they are amazed. They are amazed that Fairfax County provides the kind of level of service and equipment and support that these students need. And so I'm very thankful for all of you here in Fairfax County for providing that to these students.
There's so much technology that's out there. How do you know with your child's disability, how do you figure out what technology is the best technology that will meet those needs?
It's a lot of trial and error. Andrew's, you've tried a number of different programs. Some have worked really well, some haven't. But it's because we aren't as knowledgeable about new technologies that are coming in. We really have worked really closely with the resource teachers, and they've been really wonderful about saying, well, there is this, and we can see what's compatible with iPad or laptops. A lot of trial and error, wouldn't you say?
I've used a lot of technology and everything, some of which has even broken because the program I didn't even understand the program, so I was happy that it broke, but oh well. It wasn't my money, so.
What worked well?
The iPad, Siri, Dragon, SpeakQ, Co-Writer, all of those worked well. Dragon is just picky, so you have to, choose what it likes, but, you still have to understand that voice recognition isn't always the key. It's more of if you can use it wherever you go.
To your question, I think it is trial and error, and it's as Attelia said, it's what the child will, the student will accept at the level that, and so just introducing it, going back to introducing it as early and trying, working in partnership with your AT specialist is great. Susan Bigman, who was up here talking about Attelia, has been really super at Marshall High School for Attelia, and the Smart Pen has been really helpful, particularly, I think, to you in writing. Or taking notes. May I share you've got a nonverbal learning disability. So part of Attelia's challenges are multitasking and working memory. So working memory is listening and then writing. I didn't know all these things, so I'm picking them up. But so for her to listen to a lecture, which she's a great oral learner, but taking notes is just like, I can't listen and take notes and retain it. So the Smart Pen has been like terrific. And there's a story, a real quick story. Attelia's English 12 teacher is a really great teacher and very challenging teacher. And so, so this first quarter, Attelia's had to go in and get some additional support from her teacher. And it wasn't until an opportunity for a Saturday school that Attelia kind of opened up and told him about her challenges. He didn't know that she had the particulars of her IEP and the nonverbal learning disability. And she also shared with him about her Smart Pen. So I get an email back from the teacher and saying, basically, wow, Attelia just needs to advocate more for herself. She's a great advocate, but I didn't know any of this. And boy, can you tell me about the Smart Pen? I want to use it. So, and I have other students in my class who want to use it. So her English teacher was very responsive to her for her self-advocacy, and then was very positive about the technology and wanting it to be used for other students. So your teachers also become your advocates with AT because they know their kids and they know what they need.
Yeah, he basically like wrote a note to himself, and he's like, all right, I'm writing down a note to remind me to not ask you to write. You just need to, bring out your notebook and just write a little bit, but you don't have to write and type at the same time that we're talking. So that's kind of nice.
My comment goes to, I think, something Attelia said at the beginning. And I think when I do training or I'm drinking from the fire hose at these things as a teacher, one takeaway is all I really hope for. And mine is going to be from what you said about the struggle to have an idea in your head and just, that holding on to get it out without the technology and not losing it in that process. And that's my takeaway with all of my students, I think, now, is to find ways. That's what we want to do, is know what they're thinking, know what they're learning, be able to communicate, and not let the mechanism get in the way of getting that idea. You found your ways to do it, and there's so many ways we can help our students do it. My question, it's not exactly a technology question, but I hope the fact that I have you all gathered here, you'll allow me to ask the question. You've talked about IEPs. I sit in IEPs every week, and sometimes it's sort of a cast of thousands. And the schools where I am, I think, do them really beautifully, respectfully and comprehensively. But it always does seem kind of overwhelming, especially when we have a lot of players. Would you all speak to what, both as a student participant and a parent, what makes it the best experience for you? And maybe what are some of the challenging experiences of IEPs?
IEPs are always a struggle for me. I've done them for a long time. They always make me feel uncomfortable because they always kind of point out what I would consider something being wrong with you. But last year, I went to this conference and it had the I'm Determined people there, and they basically give you templates that are like, what's your weakness, what's your strength, what do you want to do, what do you want to accomplish? And basically, I filled that out and used it for my IEP, and it was a very good experience to do that. I think also what makes a good IEP is the people who are there and how well you can kind of get along with them, how well they kind of listen to you and take it in. I think that's personally what I think makes a good IEP meeting. I don't know.
Well, I would just echo that in the sense that there was a real shift last year with her use of the I Determined, if you're familiar with that template. And we had a new special ed director at Marshall High School, and so he knew that she had done the I Determined template, and so he goes, she walks in and I mean she rolls in and kind of expecting to be dealt with. She was going to be acted upon by everybody. And then in this IEP, she was the actor. She was the one taking the action, and the head of special ed was all over it. He was going, "You go, girl. This is your IEP. You tell us what you need, and we'll do it." So it became, to me, a real change that boosted her advocacy, her self-advocacy, confidence, didn't it? I think, and so that which she's really going to need as she goes into post high school.
You're a special ed teacher?
I'm an ESOL special ed teacher.
Okay, because I have a lot to say about IEPs. But I've seen it from all sides, actually. I used to teach. Now as a parent, and actually before I had children, I was a journalist covering education. I think you just have to go in educated. And as a teacher, as long as you all have the same goal, that you want to help the child. And fortunately, with Hope, we've had I don't have any bad relations with anyone that we've worked with now. You just have to arm yourself, and this is what I tell other parents, with, educate. What do you think your child needs? And go in there with the facts, and then you can, two of the administrators that Hope has had, that we've had IEP meetings with. One of them I'm a close friend with, is our next door neighbor. Other one we go to church with. So it shouldn't be, if you all have the same goal in mind, it shouldn't be adversarial. And what I say is usually, if they don't have the same goal, then that's their problem. So I tell parents, just go and arm yourself with education, educate yourself, and it'll be fine. If there are personal issues, I always say, I don't care if they like me, as long as they have a healthy respect. And when Hope was younger, she used to say, "Mama, are you coming to school today?" Because so-and-so asked if you were coming in school today, because it used to make her nervous, because I would just go to the school and would observe, because the parents can do that. So I would come into school and surprise them. And she said, "Mama, the teachers want to know if you're coming to school today," because I would never tell. That's the way I look at it. But like I said, two of the administrators, I would run into them, they said, you're doing what you're supposed to. You're advocating for your child. So as long as and if you ever run across an administrator that doesn't feel that way, there's where you have the problem. So it shouldn't be, as long as everybody's on the same page, it should be okay.
As far as having a IEP concerns, at first I was, I felt like I wasn't smart enough, and that was not the case. I always kind of felt embarrassed having an IEP, because I would always come home and ask my parents, why can't I be in a bigger class? Why can't I be be in a normal class. And you know what? I am glad I have an IEP because I have had some of the best teachers that anyone could have, some of the best teachers in the county. And just knowing that, I think it's like you said, that it's about, we're all on the main goal. We're all trying to reach that one goal. And I think that both on my part and my parents' part and on my teachers' part, I think it's not about whether you're in a big class or you're a small class. There's no difference. You're just trying to reach the goal, and that's all that really matters.
I don't think, I've yet to meet a parent who says they like going to an IEP meeting. But I think what helps and what makes it a positive experience is if, I like to say we go in and we're all on Team Andrew. We're all there to help figure out what's going to make him the most successful. And sometimes we've had to really press them, but we've been very lucky to work with people who are listening to us, and we say, you know, that doesn't seem to be working, or we need to rethink this because it's not helping them. But the other thing that has made them good experiences is Andrew attends, and he is his best self-advocate. I mean, he is the one who can really explain what's working for him, what's not working for him, and we have administrators and teachers who are listening to him.
IEPs, they're not the most funnest place to be at because you always hear stuff we don't want to hear, and sometimes the test results are not something we want to hear, or, yeah, they're just not fun.
And he's a teenager.
And just to add to that, the I'm Determined project, it's at imdetermined.org. It's an amazing project, so it's worth checking out. It's meant for secondary students, and it works on self-advocacy. It introduces peers to other peers with the same interest. Every year they host, I guess it's a week long, or it's a weekend, long weekend. I think it's usually at JMU. It's amazing. It's worth at least checking out.
Hi, I'm a special ed math teacher, and one of my students has started using a smart pen. And so I was asked the other day to actually write out the problem in his book and at the same time speak out the steps. So I went through it, he hit record, I spoke it out, I wrote it out, and then he hit stop recording, basically. So my question to you, to Attelia, seems like she's using a smart pen, any other students using a smart pen. Now he's supposed to go home and replay it back while looking at that, while he's doing his other homework problems. Okay, so I just want your take, your feedback on what's gonna happen here, because I'm new to this technology.
Basically, what he will do is that he'll hit the problem that you typed out, wrote out for him, and once he hits it, he'll be able to listen to you say that exact problem, and then he will probably be able to apply those concepts that you used to solve that problem in his homework. So it's very helpful, I think, in math, because math has a lot of concepts that needs to be like written out and said at the same time for people like us to understand. And so if we have that example that will help us guide us on the right track, it should be okay. But yeah, all he has to do is just listen to that particular problem, and he should be able to finish the rest of his homework, I guess.
It looks like, Andrew, you're using Siri in the classroom. Can you describe how you use that, and do the other kids get jealous that you've got that available to you?
Yes, kids do get jealous of using that and everything. Sometimes they ask me, hey, will you check my Instagram for me and everything, and post something for me and everything? And I'm like, no, I can't do that for you. So I'll get, teachers will wonder, what am I doing if I'm doing that and everything. Siri, it does have a couple of glitches, and it does not pick up everything you would want it to pick up. Anything. So if you're in a noisy classroom and everything, and someone yells into your mic or something like that and says chicken, it's just automatically gonna write chicken. So if you're saying World War II ended with a chicken, it's gonna be, and you send it already and you didn't look back at it or something like that, it's gonna be really awkward for your teachers to be looking at. Siri, it does have an advantage. You do get done papers faster. So like, I finished a paper yesterday and everything, and it was supposed to be a 4-day assignment, and I finished it only in 2 days.
I wanted to say something to the math teacher. Attelia's taken trig this year as a senior, and it's been a challenging class for her. And what we've been talking about is that once she kind of understands that she is an oral learner, and if her teacher can both give her the problem and then talk her through the problem, either independently, they have a period called Learn in their high school that allows them to go to a class of choice and get extra help. But you know, the real challenge was that she had to accept that she needed that extra help, that math was challenging for her, and that to do well in math, to get C's or B's, that she was going to have to acknowledge that I don't get this from the book and from the lectures. I actually need extra help. And when she acknowledges that and goes to the teacher, of course, the teacher is more than willing to help her on these things. And she's getting the B- in trig, you know? So it's not just the technology, but it's, I think in our experiences, I've observed, when Attelia says, you know, I'm an oral learner, I have to do math, that's, you know, my job, I gotta get that but I can do math if I get that coaching and teaching, and I'm gonna have to ask for it. And so once she's gotten that, the teacher is supportive, and she's doing just fine.
Yeah, I do this a lot for actually physics. I don't understand physics, but my teacher is amazing, and she and I have scheduled a learn period on Monday where she will like help me understand some concept about velocity that I can't really grasp. So, you know, teachers are very, very helpful. I just kind of I've learned this year that with all my hard subjects, I've always had to go to the teacher at the end of the day and be like, can I come for learn tomorrow or something? And they'll sit down with me and do it.
So to wrap it up, I was just going to ask the parents and our ambassadors, what change have you seen in yourself or your son or your daughter since they've been using assistive technology?
I think the change I've seen in Andrew is more self-confidence in his ability to get his schoolwork done. It's definitely helped him. It helps him with reading, it helps him with writing, it helps him accomplish the same tasks that his classmates are working on that he struggled to complete without the technology. So the biggest change is his self-confidence and his ability to get his schoolwork done.
Without the technology, I'd be a cat trying to swim in water, so I wouldn't be anywhere really. I'd be at the bottom on the ground or something like that, so I'd be pretty much not even passing a class or two. But since I have the technology, it's fun to actually bring it into class and be able to, you know, tell students, like, okay, well, like some students actually come up to me, like, if I have a project or something like that, everyone always wants to work with me because I'll, you know, get the technology out and they'll get to learn something new or something like that. So, yeah, it's kind of fun, actually.
As far as has Dragon changed me, yes. It has. With Dragon, I am more confident. I am able to say, you know what, I need this, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And sure, it's funny because every time I'm in class, my teacher's always asking me, do you feel weird wearing the headset? And I'm like, no. And because I'm like, hey, it helps. And, you know, sure, I look like an alien, but you know what? It's fun. I mean, and I think I can really be like, this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. And I couldn't have done any of this without my parents and Miss Connolly, who's been extremely helpful and who has just been there from day one.
Independence. It's help become independent. and responsible, because before we had to stay on her, right with her to help her do her schoolwork and homework. Now she can come in, get right on it by herself. I don't have to sit right with her to help her do it. Now, like anyone else, she can do it independently without micromanagement. That is a huge deal as a parent, to have a 9th grader to be able to do her homework by herself and do it correctly at that.
I think having access to that technology has made me feel relieved, because now I know that I am able to use those technologies and ask for them, and that it's kind of my right as long as I do it nicely. But one of the things I would like to point out, or just kind of say, is that yes, you do have those technologies, and yes, they may make you confident or more independent, but at the same time, you as a person have to be willing, and you have to be willing to face those hurdles like every day. Like, I wasn't really looking forward to staying after school for like my hard subjects, but I just had to make up my mind that I would do that because I needed to. So it's technology plus yourself, and you making that deal with yourself, saying, yes, this is what I need to accomplish, and this is how I'm going to do it.
I think you said it well. Self-awareness. I think the technology has bridged the gap for her and helped her become successful. And that she was, without particularly Dragon, she wouldn't be able to be in the general ed and do as well as she's been doing in her particularly heavy writing courses. I think that's been, so I agree on self-confidence, self-awareness, resilience. I think it helps, and I guess one of the key words is grit now. I think it makes the kids a little grittier, to have the tools that they know that they need, and that there's some not only confidence but grit that they're given as a part of it.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories. And I think what we've seen is that assistive technology, there is no one assistive technology that works for everyone, right? They all use different things, and it's a process. They started out with things that maybe they worked at that time, but then as technology changed, other things came along that were a better match. And that's why you'll see in our reports that we write, it always says this is an ongoing process, because we're always working with the school teams to determine, what the best technology is to meet the needs of the student. And these student ambassadors certainly exemplify. And thank you for sharing that it was a process, that, we didn't just provide you a piece of technology and that was it, right? It was a process to get there. The training is a process. Voice recognition, learning to write by dictation is a process. And so that's what we do, work with students and families and teachers to find that best match. So thank you guys for sharing your stories.
One last round of applause for our parents for joining us today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to come here and speak. And then our ambassadors, you guys did a fantastic job.
This has been Community Keynotes Assistive Technology, recorded at Carson Middle School in Herndon, Virginia. For more information about assistive technology and the services provided by Fairfax County Public Schools, please visit the Assistive Technology Services website. If you'd like to know more about the Community Keynotes series, please visit the Fairfax Network website at www.fcps.edu/Fairfax Network.